Hello, Lois. This is such a good question. What are the differences between infatuation and love? Infatuation is what we call lust. Infatuation is purely physical, it's purely a sexual attraction, it's purely something that a guy looks at the woman is like, oh my God, I wonder what she looks like. Like maybe he sees her boobs, her height, her skin color, her dressing, or her profession. He's drawn to her power, her essence. It's like he's not thinking about love. Love is, like we said before, love has to do with character. Love has to do with purpose. Love is more futuristic. It's a long-term thing. It's a marathon, but infatuation is a sprint. And the moment he have a taste of it, it's done. It's like film trick. The girl would be wondering, but the way this guy chased me, he bought me suya, he took me to nightclub, we even went to movies, he took me to the latest restaurant. The guy was doing everything. And you should notice how to also know that it's infatuation is if a guy is trying to be physical with you from day one, and any opportunity he has, he wants to touch you, he wants to kiss you, he wants to hold you, and then you are the one that has to be putting his hands off and saying, no, now wait, like from day one, he didn't even like try to get to know you. He didn't even like try to ask you any question about what's your vision, what's your plan, what's your future like. Nothing. All the guy says every time he sees you, oh my God, you are so beautiful. Oh my God, you are the sun in my midnight. And okay, what do you want? Let's go. He's trying to find a way to be private with you. He's trying to find a way. No deep conversations. He just wants to, if you like suya, okay, I'll buy you suya. And as you are eating the suya, he's trying to rub your back. As you are eating the suya, he's trying to kiss your neck. Just know that that is pure infatuation. This guy wants to know what you look like naked. And once he does what he wants to do, he's gone. He's not ready for no deep conversation. He's not ready for futuristic. Love is commitment. Love is patient. Love is kind. And love will cultivate. Love has to be visionary because love has to know, okay, so I like what I see, but let me know her soul. Let me know her spirit. So love will want to have conversations. Love will want to know about you. Love will not just be about the shallow things of life, about let's go to party, let's go. No, just trying to get you to a place where he can, do what he wants to do. No, love is patient and love is kind and love is what? Visionary. So love will be interested to know. Love will have deep conversations and love will open up too. But some of those infatuation people, they tell lies a lot. They just tell you, make believe, make you feel that they are powerful, make you feel that they are rich, make you feel that they have what you want and all of that. And then all the purpose of it is to get physical. So infatuation is more of a physical thing. It's more of a lust than love. That's how you know. Blessings. Well, John, thank you for this question. What is an effective way to manage long distance relationship, especially if your love language is quality time? In the past, this has been so difficult in the past when we have not arrived at this internet age where the world used to be about letters, take a picture, post it. It will take 6 weeks or 2 weeks for the person to get it, and stuff like that. So there was a lot of difficulty in the past, in managing a long distance relationship. But The internet has made it easier. The internet has made it easier because now we have smartphones. You can do FaceTime. You can have lunch together. You can set appointments to have a Zoom, or to, so, I mean, you can see each other talk. You can decide, okay, let's do noodles and eggs for lunch today, and let's have lunch at 2, and both of you can video call while you're eating, and then you can be talking. That's quality time. That's a way to, you're with the person, you're spending time with the person, just that you are not in the in the same place. So I think the internet has helped a lot to bridge the gap. You can be with someone in real time. You can record a video and send, and then you can make appointments and see. And I also recommend that no matter the long distance, have scheduled visits that are mandatory, because you can't have long distance and you say, I've not seen this person in 2 years, in 1 year. It's too much space. Is too much. So if you are within the same country, I would say schedule at least once a month or once in 2 months at the most. If school is involved, academic that are not within your control. But if life is more in your control, schedule visitations, because there are certain things that honestly, being physically present with each other helps. You can read body languages, you can know if something is wrong, faster and stuff like that. So I definitely advocate scheduled visits. And if maybe it's out of the country, at least once a year. I mean, with all the internet stuff I just said, at least once a year. If, no matter how difficult it is. So if you can do twice a year, it's fine. Whoever is able to travel, and all of that. So internet has helped quality time, except for those who their quality time is, their love language is physical touch. Then wait until you marry, and all of that. So yes, blessings. This is a good question. Does one love language change? Yes, it is possible. It is possible for it to change. It is possible also for it to become more than one. Because now I have developed myself so much so that I speak all 5 love languages. Yes. You can ask me about that later. So we can evolve. The more we are growing, the more vulnerable we are to life, the more personal development we allow ourselves to take on, the better we get. So you can now realize that the more you're getting to know yourself, what didn't matter before starts to matter. And so you have to accept it. So sometimes you'll be like, yes, why not? I found out that I like this. I found out that I'm beginning to love that. Because the more we evolve, the more we are also getting to know ourselves. So certain parts of our feelings that may have been hidden or that may have not yet been unlocked in time past, things in life may happen and unlock it. I've told you guys before, and I'll tell you again, I didn't used to hug before. I was not a hugger many, many years ago. But today I can hug for Africa. I can hug for America. I was that kind of a private person before. Till today I would laugh. My first ever relationship, the only hug the only hug we have was shoulder to shoulder. It's so funny when I think about it now. It was like shoulder to shoulder, and it was so awkward, even as at that time. Even the shoulder to shoulder was awkward. And it wasn't even just relationship, just in general. I was just not a hugger. like Anita that is hugging all over the world, all everybody, like, but I was not that naturally. So now there are things I've developed about myself that I'm able to do things that were unnatural then. As I'm growing, as I'm evolving, I'm becoming more empathetic. I'm becoming more, relatable. So that's what personal development would do for you. So you may have developed and unlocked one dimension of you that you now realize, wait, I like quality time too, or I like physical touch too. Maybe you didn't know that about yourself, or that part of you was not open before, but now you have grown, you are more vulnerable, and you have figured it out. So it's possible for it to change, and it's possible for you to speak more than one love language. Blessings. Eddie, you and all this your love you and all this your love dynamics, how to handle attitude problem from someone you love so much. At least this time around you are the one loving the person so much, so that's good. So I want to know, what kind of attitude problem are we talking about? Because something you may classify as an attitude problem may just be the person's way of trying to get your attention. So we may have to understand the context to be able to answer properly. So when you say attitude problem, what does that mean? And the other thing I want to point out is, you have indicated that you love this person so much. So does the person love you at all? Because sometimes the attitude may be that of rejection. If the person doesn't love you and the person feels irritable, by your own show of love, since you love her so much, and you are showing the love and the person doesn't love you back, what they do can be termed as an attitude problem. So if somebody is trying to tell, please leave me now, leave me, Joe, or don't bother me. I don't, there's an attitude problem that is like somebody's trying to tell you, get off me, leave me alone, so love is beautiful when it is mutual. Let me say it again. Love is at its best when it is mutual, when it is reciprocal, when you love them and they love you. I mean, it's okay for somebody's love to be, more than the other, but it is important for there to be love on both sides. Don't go loving someone who doesn't love you. You know what I mean? That's going to generate a lot of attitude problem. But if the person loves you, then give us an example of what the attitude is so we can determine whether it's really an attitude problem or it's just you maybe not having your way. The context will help. Bless you. This is a funny one. What's the reason that most love languages of women in these days is money? LOL. Because money answers all things, right? The Bible says money answers all things. Money solves a lot of problems, but then there are so many factors to it. One factor is that back in the days, they used to say, oh, humble beginnings, women should humble themselves and suffer with a man so that they can enjoy with him. And a lot of women, bought into that, suffered with their husbands, built fortunes, and then the next thing, the husband didn't feel that they were good enough anymore after he made money, and then will go off with another girl or another woman. So that a lot of the girls of nowadays saw how their mothers suffered, and they started to make up their mind as, hey, I won't suffer with any man. God forbid, I will never suffer with any man again. Don't tell me to suffer with any man, because they started to see that those who suffered, some of them, it didn't pay. them. But some really did, because some men honored their wives, by staying faithful. Sometimes you see a man suffer with his wife, makes money. The next thing after he makes money, he marries a second wife or marries a third wife and then has five girlfriends. And all of a sudden, he's a different person. And in that moment, the money is useless, even to the woman, because you cannot have the money and lose your husband. That's why the Bible says, what can it profit a man if he gains the whole world and loses his own soul? So sometimes you now wonder. So these women now are not putting those genuine feelings ahead anymore. They say, okay, any man that wants to come correct, have money, period. And then it's also good because when we talk about this money, what kind of money are we talking about? Are we talking about basic feeding money? Are we talking about basic food, basic requirements like clothing, like basic necessities of life? If a woman is requesting those things, she's not out of order. Even though I recommend that women should also have their own handwork, careers, or businesses that can help them sustain, because no man can actually bear your burden completely for you as a woman. There are things that you have to be the one to buy for yourself, but the man should be able to take care of your basic needs and also take care of his children. That's important, right? So let's have the context of this whole money thing. It's let it be balanced. Let me not say too much more than that. Yeah, bless you. Oh, um, the bar say breakfast is ready. It's just for it to be served. You guys are so funny. Uh, Eddie, so this question, how do you tell someone is over in a good way that won't hurt her feelings? If the person really cared about you, their feelings are going to be hurt, but it's a good thing that you're trying to give them a soft landing. So since you have known that this is not the one for you, you are doing a good thing by not carrying them on in deception, by releasing them so that somebody else can find them. It's a good thing. So you want to be able to be gentle about it, and be genuine also. Be genuine also. So it can be something like this. Listen, babes, or Tina, or Rhoda, whatever the name is. Like, I care about you, right? But lately I've realized that my heart is not, progressing in this relationship. And I feel like it is a disservice for you not to get all of me. I am not together. I'm not there where I want to be. I'm not, being able to give you what I think I should give you. And I feel that, the future may not be it for us. You're a good person, but I don't think there's a future for us. And I don't want to be a drag to you. So I just want you to, accept this genuine confession from me that it's not it for me anymore. So I just want to let you go so that I don't hold you back from the future that I know that you have, that is going to be a bright one. But please don't be mad at me. Please forgive me, for doing this. But I just have to be genuine with you, and all of that. So if you are genuine and you are tender, you can, express yourself. She may be mad at you for a minute, but she will respect it than being deceived. I hope this helps. Just a general idea. I hope so. You embellish. You understand it. Be genuine. Be genuine and be tender, but be firm as well. Okay. Blessings. Can you love someone and still not be compatible? The answer is yes. And we've talked about compatibility here, that we advocate suitability more than compatibility, because compatibility is even limited. It's not something that lasts, it's limited. So you want to go for suitability. Suitability is more flexible, more accommodating, and more growth friendly. It grows when you grow. But compatibility is something that is good for today, but may not be good for tomorrow. Okay. The example is, if you put a CD player in a cassette player. You see, if you put a cassette, compatibility is putting cassette inside a cassette player, it will play. But if times and seasons change and they start to do CDs, and you put a CD inside a cassette player, it will not enter. It will not enter because the cassette space is just for the cassette. So now you can't put a CD player in there. It will not take it. So when we are talking about suitability, we want futuristic. You imagine this person in the next 10 years, in the next 20 years. If I change in these dimensions, will this person change along with me? That becomes the main thing. But can you love someone and still not be compatible? Yes, because sometimes sugar is not good for us, but we still eat it. So there are certain basic values that you know that this person is not having these values. This person doesn't even fear God. Like the girls that go out with unbelievers, they know it. We're not compatible in our faith, but I like the guy. I just like him. I just like him for this, for that. A guy will say, oh, this girl, I know that she's bad news. But then there's just something about her. So, yes, it's possible that you can like someone that's not even good for you, that's not suitable or compatible for you. But there's a draw. So that's where discipline comes in. Discipline comes in where you know that, yes, even though I like this thing, even though I like sugar, sugar will kill me if I continue to take sugar. So it takes now discipline and that self-control that comes by the fruit of the spirit. That's why you need God to be able to, walk with God and to be able to be disciplined. Sometimes the grace of God will help you to know when something is bad for you to leave it. Some people know this thing is bad for me, but they'll still take it. Somebody who is smoking say, alcohol is not good for me, cigarette is not good, but then you find yourself still doing it. So that's how it is sometimes in some relationships. Okay, so self-control. And the Bible says Jesus, for the joy that was set ahead of him, endured, the cross. And so the Bible tells us that we should endure hardness as a good soldier. So sometimes when you are drawn to something that you know is not good for you in the future, it is that self-discipline, that self-control that will help you to walk away from it. All right. Your second question: what's the greatest in a relationship? Love, sacrifice, or compromise? Love. The greatest in any relationship is love. Because if you have love, you will have sacrifice and compromise inside of it. But you cannot have sacrifice and compromise without love. So the greatest in a relationship is love. Because when you love someone, the Bible says, for God so loved the world that he gave. When you love someone, you'll be able to give of yourself, give of your time, make sacrifices, make compromises because of the love. But you can't compromise. What are you compromising? What's the foundation of that compromise? The foundation of compromise has to be love. Like, okay, I like eating beans. And then this person hates beans. But then you now say, okay, no problem. I will cook beans on the days that you are not at home so that I can eat my beans. Since I know you don't like beans, the smell of beans used to irritate you. But that's compromise. So, but then what's the foundation of that compromise? I love you so much that I wouldn't want you to, be offended by the smell of beans that I like. Or the other person may say, I don't like beans, the smell of it irritates me, but I will find a way to still cook it for you. So love is at the foundation. Love is at the foundation of compromise and sacrifice. For God so loved that he gave. Jesus, for the joy that was set ahead of him, endured. So there are things that we can only do because love is involved. Love is in the heart. Okay? So the greatest in a relationship is love. Eddie, this matter is serious. The context that you have listed here is an indication that this person doesn't love you, to be honest. It might sound very harsh and straightforward, but there's something about love. It fuels desire. When you love someone, you know, you desire them. You desire them, and then you also respect them. Love and respect go hand to hand, especially for a woman. A woman's love, a woman has to respect you is important. As a man, for you to be respected by the woman that claims to love you. And so when you see that why I say claim to love you, there's a way that I always say settling of confusion will be very easy if we judge people by their actions and not their words. Do you understand? So somebody cannot say they love you and they are not showing it. If their action is saying the opposite of their words, that's why they say action speaks louder than voice. So at the end of the day, judge the action, not the words. So if her actions are saying, I don't love you, but her words are saying, I love you, then it may be because she's taking advantage of the fact that she knows you love her so much. And there might be some benefits she's also enjoying from you. So she don't want anybody around you to give you attention, but she's just using you as a what do they call space filler until what she wants comes along. Okay, so if she loves you, her attitude must show respect and desire. Love must desire you. Love must respect you as a man, because respect is admiration for a man. That admiration, that if somebody you are dating does not even admire you, does not even respect you to enough to pick your calls or to that's not love. I'm sorry, that person doesn't love you. Yes, my answer to this question would be yes. So if you've had 3 breakups or heartbreaks, as you say, it's time for some retrospect. It's time for some personal development. It's time for, you know, paying attention to yourself. Give yourself 1 year or 2 years of just developing yourself, working hard, because relationship takes energy. Relationship is hard work. It's a daily thing. It's like you have to check. It's like goldfish. You have to check it, make sure the water is clean, make sure there's food. So relationship takes a lot of time, which you must have, and then resources as well. So if you are having 3 heartbreaks back to back, whether you are a guy or a girl, honestly, take time out and just focus on yourself. Learn new stuff, open your mind, read books, do a training, take a course, do something, meet new people, change completely, give yourself a challenge, set some high goals that will keep you occupied and drive your energy for a while, and know that you are definitely better. Know for sure that you have developed yourself, and then you'd realize sometimes When you improve yourself, what you used to pursue that was running away from you will start pursuing you, So what you used to chase will start chasing you. So sometimes definitely take a break and work on you, focus on you, give yourself some new goals, And when you are done, you yourself, you're going to like the way you look. You're going to like how you feel. And then you attract what you really like. And that thing would have love for you back and respect as well. Okay? Blessings. Favor, this is a dicey situation, and I'm going to give an advice that is balanced and safe. Okay, so when there's a situation like this, and I mean the fact that you guys were nine friends for 9 years, that the fact that they were friends for 9 years, also is even suspicious on its own. That you were friends for 9 years before you started a relationship 1 year ago. So for 9 years, this guy did not think he would have a relationship with you. He didn't think about it until 1 year ago. So that's too long, you know. And then you now have a relationship for 1 year, and then he says his family says it's the tradition. So this is also a very dangerous ground to tread on, family and tradition. So there are cases where if she goes ahead and marries the guy, what are the chances where the family will not prevail to add a second wife that is the one that they believe? Because there are times that a family will be like, that's your own, you just did. You have not married as far as we're concerned. So at some point, they are still going to bring a wife for him that is their own. Okay? So what I will suggest, since this relationship is just 1 year old, I will suggest that she calls off the relationship. Because if the guy is also telling her and still giving her assurance that don't worry, but you are the one I want, you just never know. Maybe he will come back some months later and say the family refused. So to make it easier for her, let her take the upper hand and break the relationship. I say, okay, since there's a conflict here, I won't want to come between you and your family, because it's important for me to be accepted into the family that I'm going to marry into. So let's not waste each other's time further. I know it's not your fault and I don't hold it against you, but I'm going to let you go. She should break it off. Now, if he really wants her, like he said, he's going to go and fight with his family. He's going to go and sort it out with his family, and he will come back with assurances that his family are now okay for him to marry her. He will come back to her if he doesn't want to lose her. He's going to go and sort out himself with the family, and he's going to come back and say, in fact, they have agreed. In that way, she can decide to reconsider and then get married. But with this style now, it may be him, it may be them with the family. In this case, for her to get the upper hand, since it's just a 1 year relationship, she should do that. She should just break it off. Tell her to fortify her mind and break off the relationship and tell him, I don't want to come between you and your family. If they are insisting now, even when we get married, they may still insist. So let's just call this off and let's not waste each other's time and let her move on. If he really wants her, trust me, he will fight with his family until they agree with him because he has leverage. He's the only son of the family. So he has leverage. They say where there's a will, there's a way. If you go and tell them that if you guys don't let me marry this guy, I'm not marrying at all, they will be the one to beg him to say, okay, go and marry, bring anybody, because they would rather he marries than he doesn't marry at all. So there's a way a man can sort himself out with his family, and that woman does not need to be a part of that. So if she's going to enter his family, she must be accepted. At the end of the day, that's the best thing for her, to save herself from a future heartache. So if he goes and sorts with his family and comes back, then he's the one, and then she too can go in. All right? Blessings. Hola, Regina, thank you for your question. At what age or stage of personal growth do you think it's right to be in a relationship? This is a good question, because sometimes some of the problems in relationships are due to immaturity, immature emotions, immature reactions, lack of comprehension and understanding that it's lacking at a particular stage of development. So I want to say that since maturity is also not tied to age, because we have seen people who are childish and immature even at significant ages that should have outgrown immaturity. So I would say it's the age of comprehension, the age of comprehension and the age of responsibility, the age where you are defined. I don't encourage anyone who is not defined to go into a relationship, because that's the beginning and foundation of confusion. If you don't know who you are and if you don't know where you are going, you are not in the position to choose who's best to go with you in the direction that you're going. So relationship is not something that idle people should involve themselves in, or emotionally immature people to involve in. There are different researches and studies. Some studies even say that even though girls are formed at, 15, a girl is already looking physically, appealing, 16, but then the consenting age of adulthood is 18, and even, for instance, here in the US, even though you become an adult at 18 and you're independent, there are certain things you can't do until you're 21, and there are certain things you can't do until you're 25. So really, full legal acknowledgement of your age is like 25. To say, okay, you have the freedom to be on your own or do things by yourself without like the limits that they place on the excesses that teenage kids bring about, whether it's on car rentals and or limitations on even accommodation and a lot of things, like that. So also, when you're about to be in a relationship, you want to be in a relationship with somebody who is emotionally mature, whose life has been defined, not totally. I'm not saying the person has to be fully or totally established, but the person should be defined. Like, what do they want to do with their life? Even if they want to be a mechanic, have they done the mechanic training? Are they going to work with another workshop, or are they planning to start their own workshop? That kind of definition. If the person is a musician, have they gone to a music school? Do they have an instrument? Are they able to play an instrument? Do they plan to work, with another institution to use that skill? If the person is a psychologist, have they gotten the degree? Do they want to do an internship? Have they done the internship? Do they have a job? Like if you want to be an entrepreneur, have you started the business? So you must be defined. And anyone who is mature enough to be defined can be mature enough to comprehend. That's why sometimes when you hear some argument in some relationship, it's so petty. And you wonder, like, these two people have no business even being in a relationship in the first place. So I believe that a sense of responsibility, and then ability to comprehend, emotionally. That's the maturity. So you can see somebody who is 24, who is 25, who has the maturity that somebody who is 40 doesn't have, who has not understood what a sense of responsibility is. So it's good to use wisdom to discern, since we all have different tastes, we all have different purposes, we all have different assignments, we all have different values. So check to confirm if this person is defined and if this person is mature at the level of your own desire or expectation. That's when it's right. Yes. So to this question, I want to believe that the context of this intimacy is non-sexual. I definitely want to assume that the intimacy here you're talking about is more of that connection, emotional connection, and vulnerability. So I'm going to assume that this intimacy is talking about your ability to be vulnerable in a relationship, because without being vulnerable, you can't connect. You can't open up, in the way that you need to open up to connect with somebody, emotionally. So, is there a potential underlying issue if you're struggling? Yes. If you're struggling, there is an underlying issue. There will be a reason. Either you've been betrayed before and you haven't healed, you know so everybody becomes a suspect. And then, or if something, yeah, betrayal can be anything, whether it's even like abuse. It can be abuse if you have been abused, or if you there's a lot of trauma that can be locked up sometimes, that if you don't process it, it will affect your ability to connect with anyone. And even if you go ahead and even marry, there are certain people that have gone ahead to marry thinking that that would be a solution. And unfortunately, it is not. Even in the marriage, some ladies deal with frigidity, so they are not even able to respond to stimulation, whether emotional stimulation or physical stimulation. And we've seen situations like that in marriages where the person had locked up previous trauma, and because of that, even though physically they went through the motion of a relationship, they could not, open up, in terms of intimacy in the marriage. So my advice is, if you have any kind of trauma, please talk about it. Find a therapist, or a counselor to walk you through that pain, to be able to help you to resolve it. Because there are certain ladies who have been raped who carry a guilt around. They carry a guilt around, thinking that it was their fault. Maybe they were the ones that didn't dress well. Maybe they were the ones that seduced the person without knowing. Maybe they have a spiritual problem. So people lock up for different kinds of reason and blame themselves. And you have to find someone who you can talk to allow you process and heal, and analyze that situation for you, so that you can set yourself free. Otherwise, you're going to carry that guilt, and you're going to punish someone else for the rest of their lives, that is not the cause of that particular problem. Okay? Blessings. All right. There's this notion that being in a relationship can hinder one's ability to fulfill God's given purpose. No, that's not true. Let me paraphrase it for you. Being in a wrong relationship, being in a wrong relationship can, you understand, hinder your ability, but not just being in a relationship. So that's a blanket statement, and it's not true. Uh, I think the only thing that may have a little bit of influence to this statement is that when you are in a relationship, it's time consuming. You have to pay attention to the relationship to make it work. And someone who's not in a relationship is just, you know, free to serve God, right? So, but when you are in a purposeful relationship, in a love relationship, it's meant to make your purpose even better, because the Bible tells us that two are better than one because they have a better reward for their labor. So if you if you follow even the I mean, regular people say that two heads are better than one, right? But then somebody paraphrases and says two good heads, not just any two heads. Not just any two heads are better than one. Two good heads are better than one. So I want you to know that yes, if you are single, you have free time to serve God. You have the focus. But if you are in a relationship, you have to serve the need, of your spouse. You have to serve the need of the family you have created, the children. Those are things that will also become part of your life. So that takes time. But also, if you are in a purposeful relationship, what that helps you do is that both of you are in a partnership, that will be more productive, that will give you a better reward according to the word of God. Will give you a better reward for your labor. So it can be purposeful. So how you can distinguish between a genuine spiritual conviction and a mental stronghold, it's what I said in the previous question. Like, if I think that if you are being sincere with yourself, you would know if there's something that is preventing you from being fruitful in a relationship. If there's a mental stronghold, you would know. So you only have to be sincere to yourself and find someone you trust to talk to. Okay? You have to find someone you trust to talk to. I remember counseling a couple one time. They were about to get married, and the wife to be had been raped, and he didn't know until that counseling session. The man did not know until during that counseling session. And that's because I was able to bring it up, and at that time, it was when you open up some things, then someone will realize, there are some women that even in marriage, if their husbands is trying to touch them, they will be scared, or they will be jittery. They will be jittery as if, hey, we're trying to commit sin. And that relationship will have a lot of limitations in the bedroom because of that mental stronghold. That's why, and it's not fair to put that burden on someone who did not cause that problem. That's why you have to take care of yourself, meet a counselor if you have issues, and make sure that you deal with those underlying issues, those mental strongholds. Even if it's not a physical abuse, if it's even a superstition that has become a stronghold, maybe they've told you that you're Ogbanje, maybe they've said that you have this spirit on you. There's so many things unbelievable that people are dealing with in real life, that if you find somebody to open up, if you need deliverance, do that deliverance. You need to go through a period of therapy, do that, and make sure that you are a good ground to be tilled for relationship. So that will help. So this particular question is you that will be able to answer it. If there's a mental stronghold, you would know, because you would know if you're hiding something, if you are concealing something, if you are uncomfortable with something. And the more you open up, about it, the better. And if not, otherwise, the conviction of being with someone in a relationship is to know, like I said, if you are defined, if you know where you're going, you're in a better position to choose who to go with you. So don't choose a partner when you haven't defined yourself and your destination in life. Okay? Blessings. Yes. Pastor Marka, this question is it's actually a good question because it has become controversial these days, this age gap thing. What's the ideal age gap between a guy and a girl? I personally think that age gap between a guy and a girl that are going into a strong relationship. I'm believing that you mean marriage, something that is leading in the direction of marriage. I want to say that between 2 to 5 years is ideal because women emotionally mature faster than men. Emotionally. I think there was a research that said that a while ago that said that a 15-year-old, a 15-year-old can actually handle a 30-year-old man. But that was a long time ago. But we know that the age of consent has to be above 18 years old, right? So if you do anything that you do below that age, you are in trouble with the law. So don't forget that. But in terms of maturity, women come into maturity faster. So 2 years for me, I think 2 years to 5 years, because when is too the gap is too wide, there are certain things that creep in. you know the person may want too much respect. And when I say too much respect, I'm not saying reasonable. I'm saying unreasonable. Almost like wanting to demand things that you are supposed to be giving to your father or something like that. So, and then sometimes it can inhibit intimacy as well, or not create atmospheres for total expression, both from both parties. From both parties. We don't want, if you are Nigerian, you understand what we call miro quanta. So we don't want a miro quanta situation. If you don't know what that is, ask your Hausa friends to tell you. We don't want a miro quanta situation where it's just a duty. You are a woman that just provides a service to the man. There's no connection, there's no satisfaction for you. There's no conversation of what you want, or, that's not okay. So, however, women can go up to 10 years gap between a guy and it will be fine. So still, it boils down to maturity and what you are able to handle. But if you ask me, I'll be like 2 to 5 years. 2 to 5 years age gap is ideal. That is the man being older than the lady. 2 to 5 years. That is ideal. Yes. The negative impact for this, your second question, for teenagers dating too early, of course, we have seen teen pregnancies, right? That's the obvious one. We have seen teen pregnancies. We've also seen situations where some of these teenagers did not even go through with the pregnancy, but they had abortions. And in having those abortions, because their systems are not totally formed, things go wrong. And some of them can't even have kids again for life. Some of them go through complications because of medicines that they take at that age that destroy certain things in their body, that they are not able to function as normal women anymore. So, and then heartbreaks, unnecessary heartbreaks. When a young boy starts to sleep around, first of all, the time that he's supposed to be using to develop his mind, that he's supposed to use to school, that he's supposed to use to make money, you begin to see that distraction all of a sudden. Some of them, that's why they go into all this Yahoo Yahoo. because you are misplacing priorities, trying to date a girl that has needs and responsibilities when you have no job. And when they now realize that that is a factor, money is a factor, they begin to go into all kinds of devices, to get this money to be able to get the girls, because for them, some of them, it becomes an addiction. The sex becomes an addiction because the Bible says that the glory of the youth is in their strength. And that strength is supposed to be used to lay the foundation for your future. It's not supposed to be used on women, to squander your strength, your youthful strength, on women and on excess behavior and all of that. It's supposed to be used to develop yourself mentally, develop capacity, lay the foundation for that future so that you can build on it. But if you spend all your youthful energy on sex, you may not get yourself back together at the right time. And you may now have a bunch of kids that you have to take odd jobs to support, and it will truncate, the possibility of your future in most cases. So that's why it's, as parents, let's introduce our children to God early. The Bible says, train up a child in the way he should go. When he's old, he will not depart from it. So when we introduce our kids, to God early, and also guide them to make responsible choices, encourage them to pursue an education, it's always better when they use their energy, encourage them to also get a skill. It's good when a youth uses their energy, their youthful energy, to lay foundations for themselves. In that way, they understand responsibility before they go into relationships and avoid some of these unnecessary complications, that teenage or youthful exuberance will create. I hope this helps. Thank you, Pastor Moses, for this question. How long should a courtship last? And what are the disadvantages of a, a long courtship? Honestly, I think it's relative, but I would just give a recommendation because I don't think anyone should be a final authority on how a courtship should last. But then we all know what is reasonable, right? So somebody may meet someone and in 6 months they know that this is the person that they want to marry, even though that's dangerous also. Because one of the reasons that is, if it's too quick, is dangerous, is because you don't get to know people that well in such a short time. People can pretend for 6 months, so I generally say minimum should be a year, minimum, if you are trying to rush things, because anybody can conceal anything in 6 months. Even the activity of even trying to get married alone is enough to take the time. So before you start planning any marriage, like I've said it here before, that don't marry anybody that you don't know how they react when they are angry. It's important, it's important. So if you just meet and everything is dandy, 6 months you are married, then you start getting to know each other in the marriage. That's already too late at that time. So minimum, at least a minimum, get to know somebody a minimum of 1 year. And guess what? Even if you have known the person before as friends, so far you were not in a relationship, don't say, oh yeah, we grew up together. No, you grew up together, but you have not known that person in a relationship. You have not been in a relationship with that person. So time of courtship starts counting when you are actually in a relationship, not when you were family friends, or you were Sunday school friends, or you were high school friends, or college friends. No. When you start a relationship with someone, when their emotional connection with you is established, that's when you start counting, okay? Because how someone reacts to you when you are emotionally committed to them is different from when there's nothing. I hope you know that. So my recommendation is minimum is a year. And So between 2 years, 2 years is a healthy time to get to know someone and get to know whether you really should proceed into getting married, but those ones that do 5 years and above, honestly, I have a problem with that. I have a problem with that because oftentimes, especially for guys, I'll be honest, I grew up in a home. I have 8 brothers, I have 8 brothers, same mother, same father, right? So when a guy knows what he wants, I was talking with someone yesterday and I was telling them that whenever two ladies are fighting over a guy, the answer to that problem is that none of them is his choice. None of them is his choice. When two ladies are fighting over a guy, he has not chosen any of them. That's why they can fight over him. Because when a guy makes up his mind, he chooses immediately. And when he has chosen, he makes his choice clear. And he protects the one that he has chosen so that there will not be any confusion. But when he's still playing around two people, it's because he has not decided if he wants any of them yet. That's just facts. Okay? So when someone is in a courtship for 5 years, I'm wondering, like, wait, is that person, what's the person checking again? What are you checking for 5 years? What are you trying to convince yourself for 5 years? Except if this person knows that this person is not the one for me and I'm just trying to persuade myself. But it's a convenience. When relationship becomes a convenience that this person is helping me, meeting some of my needs. So let me just keep the person around until I find somebody I really, really like. And that's not fair. I know of a relationship that lasted for 10 years and the guy broke the relationship after 10 years. And guess what? He married another girl in 6 months. He married the girl he married her in 6 months. After dating somebody, after courtship, full-blown courtship that everybody knew about for 10 years. He broke that relationship and he married his wife in 6 months. So be careful. If a guy is keeping you too long, or even if it's a girl too, that means like 5 years. Are you kidding? What are you trying to check? Spiritually or physically? That means that person is just enjoying the convenience that relationship is providing, and may eventually just overnight barge into who they really like and bail on you. I know some situations are different. Not all situations are the same, where sometimes some people are in a long distance relationship, they are in school, or they decide to finish their first degree and go for their master's degree and decide, okay, we want to finish our master's before we get married. In the case where there's a plan, it's a different thing. But in the case where you are just waiting idly and there's no reason for the delay, I suggest that you re-examine the relationship. Okay? Yes, Shadrach, where you are is allowed. No, there's no judgment. I don't have any judgment against where you are. Life is in phases and men are in sizes. And there are times where people are in a wilderness experience, and there are times where they are in their promised land, and without pain, there's no gain. Pain is an essential part of life. Pain, helps you to have common sense sometimes. Pain provokes growth and development in you sometimes. So pain is a necessity in life sometimes. And it's okay, and it's okay. Sometimes when things like this happen, it's good to take your time to heal. But when your season change, even you will know. Nobody will have to persuade you. So this is your feeling in this moment, and it's okay. Take your time and heal. Take your time and develop yourself. Just make sure that you are not stagnant. Just make sure that you are not bitter. Just make sure that you are not projecting venom. Like the Bible says, there's nothing that is new under the sun. So everybody in this life has experienced a heartbreak in one way or the other. So if you are not emotionally fragile, you will allow it to make you a better person and move forward and even get a better deal in life in the future. So, but it's okay to heal as long as you are not holding a grudge. The Bible says you can be angry, but sin not. So, as long as you are not letting it get the best of you, as long as you are not letting it make you into a bitter person, it's okay if you deal with it in a healthy way and put your affection on God right now and focus on developing yourself. That's a good thing. When you heal, you are healed, and you would know. When your seasons change and your joy comes in the morning, you will know, and we will be here to celebrate with you, because we will remember that, oh, there was a time where you were in a bad situation. And so when we adjust ourselves, God gives us double for our trouble. So I pray that your heart finds healing, and I pray that you deal with it maturely from, the recommended scriptural way and pattern, and overcome it and count it all joy. Okay? Blessings. Yes, I think we're heading somewhere now with this question for Regina. So you can see that it's all related. All your questions so far are kind of intertwined. And you will see I've already touched on some things. So relationship PTSD is real, and it's also unfair to punish another person for the crime, or the offense that someone else, committed. So that's why we must take responsibility to deal with, whatever that trauma is in the relationship before we move on to another person. Otherwise, someone else is going to be paying so badly for the pain that another person, caused. So the way you overcome relationship PTSD and learn to trust and love again after a previous relationship ended badly, and you are struggling to open up and to be receptive to a new relationship, is counseling and therapy. Counseling and therapy, allow someone to walk you through it. Open up what happened to someone, that's to a counselor, to someone you trust, as a counselor, not an immature person. Not everyone is a counselor. Not everyone can listen to understand. Not, I don't, when I say counselor, don't go and meet a pastor who is going to call judgment and fire on top on top of somebody that broke your heart. When you understand that it's a life, is part of life's phenomenon. It's like it's part of life, and that person may have their reason, and they may have also been immature and handled things badly, betrayed you emotionally, and all of that. But in counseling, when a counselor listens to you, or in therapy, they listen to you, they listen to your pain, they see the mistakes that you made, and they tackle it in such a way that you would leave out of that session with a sense of responsibility too, not just blaming the other person. Then you will see what you could have done better that you didn't do. And that's where growth comes in. Because when something bad happens to us and we blame 100% of the fault on the person, on the other person, we're not taking any form of responsibility. We don't get to learn or grow from that experience. Instead, we walk all through life blaming and not growing. So when you are able to open up and talk about it, the truth of the matter is that someone else will be able to listen and say, yes, this was where you missed it. You could have discerned this right here and protected yourself this way, and maybe you didn't know better, and then it led to you being taken advantage of, and this person took advantage of you in this way, in that way. So you will see what the person did wrong, and you will also see what you did wrong, and you will come out of the place knowing, okay, wow, I know better now, so that I would not let this mistake happen again. Affliction shall not arise a second time. So that's how you heal, when you take responsibility, and I'm not saying take responsibility of the blame of what another person did, like in the case of, abuse. An abuser is going to abuse you. So, but how do you escape that? So in the area where you need to hear someone validate you, tell you, oh my God, so sorry for what you went through, so sorry that this happened to you, you are able to process it and really move forward. And I highly recommend that you do that before moving into another relationship. When you do that and you are healed, you realize that you will be able to discern true love. You'll be able to know, what you want even better. And then you'll be able to recognize it when you see it. And you will not have to punish another person or all the men that come your way because of the offense of one person. All right. So if you need more clarity on how to go about this, please let me know. Okay? God bless you. Ruth, this is definitely a funny exchange. Yeah. The young lady saying you shouldn't give your number. If you have a boyfriend, don't give your number to another guy. And this other girl is saying, having a boyfriend should not stop me from meeting my husband. That is so funny. But that's the mentality of the young people of nowadays. I think this generation is very transactional. They're very transactional. They're not attached. They don't have time to waste. They are, so it has an advantage. It has its pros, but it also has its cons. It has an advantage where you're coming from a generation that suffer in silence, right? You're coming from an era that people suffer in silence. They can't express what they really want. And we have come into a time where these guys can express what they want and they don't have sentiments and emotions, and so it now creating a situation that we don't have a balance, so that's why we have to continue to teach honestly. I share with our GMT all the time, the truth, you don't have to know it all. Bible says we know in part and we prophesy in part. Nobody knows everything. So the truth, share it. It can save someone. There's so much ignorance today that kids of nowadays get all their advice and knowledge from the internet, from Google, from somebody's opinion that they don't even know from Adam. So if you know the truth, if you are, that you have it in you to be a counselor, a mentor, a coach, you have to develop yourself. You have to develop yourself to be able to be of help to these kids out there. There's a lot, you don't blame them because a lot of them are learning whatever they're learning from their friends on the internet. I tell you guys, if you go to TikTok, everybody's talking. Papa, everybody's talking. Opinions on YouTube. Anybody that has a phone and a microphone can just put a ring light and talk, and somebody's listening. You have to understand that people are always looking for leadership. People are looking for guidance. So if that guy, if you are not providing it, if the people who know the truth are not providing that guidance and that leadership, guess what? The influencers on the internet will provide it, because life does not allow for vacuums. Where there's a vacuum, something will fill it. So, and anybody that has a strong opinion, people are listening. They'll be like, yeah, that girl is making sense. So, you bill for every date. If you are on a date, you bill. Some things that you cringe when you even hear. and you know that this is a shipwreck that is about to happen. So we need to be encouraged to share the truth that we know. If you have been listening to some of these Q&As since we started and you haven't shared it, you are also contributing to the false narratives that are out there. When you see a balanced opinion, when you see sound counsel, share it. Some of you have been members of Life Changers. You have never invited anybody to join. Who has joined Life Changers because of you? That you say, oh, come, there's a place where we have uplifting programs. We kind of have a balanced diet going on. Come join. And sometimes if that's all you can do is just to pull someone in, and some of you are doing that, and God bless you guys. I'm telling you, because you'll be saving somebody's life. The Bible says, to him that is joined to the living, there is hope. So let's spread the truth. I don't like the hypocrisy of Christians that they keep sharing what they don't like. Say, this world has turned to something else. Wonders shall never end. They keep sharing. They're giving publicity to the wrong thing. They share because people like gossip, people like negativity by default. And when they see something that is good, they just say, wow, yeah, it's nice. And they just leave it at that. But you sharing may save somebody's life. Sharing what you like, sharing what the truth is, sharing something that is virtuous. Whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are good reports, if there be any virtue, if there be any praise, think on these things. So are you helping somebody's mind to form positively? Okay, let me not preach. Let me not preach. So the simple answer to this question, sorry, Ruth, that yeah, it's you that provoke me to come and be preaching on this, but it's the truth. In this case, right? If I'm not against somebody that's in a relationship giving their number to someone else. For instance, if you're an event decoration, the fact that you have a boyfriend or you have a relationship does not mean if another person wants to get your number, and the person is a guy, you will not give the person your number. If you are in business, you are doing something. But if it's purely for this, for the uh, reason of I like you, can I have your number? And you are in a relationship, then that is unfair. Now, this concept of why should I allow having a boyfriend to make me not meet my husband? That is, let's talk about it for a minute as I close on this. Is don't don't lower your standard because you want to be in a relationship and be with a boyfriend that cannot turn into a husband. No, if you're anyone that you date should be a testament of your taste for a husband. That's just the truth. So you can't just say, okay, because who I like has not come. Let me just, go with this person. I don't really like this person, but let me go with this person because they're the only one available. You are not being fair to that person, and you're not being fair to the person that is waiting for that person as well. So the counsel here would be, ladies should not have boyfriends that don't have the potential to become their husbands. In that way, you can be with someone that you are dating that can become your husband. That should actually be one of the basic fundamental requirements of your decision to date. Whoever you date should be somebody that is already a potential husband, except if your values don't align, which you get to know in the relationship, in which way you can both part your ways. But if you have a different standard for boyfriends and then you say, okay, but husband have a different standard, you are deceiving yourself and you are being unfair. And you should have a rethink. But by the preaching I preached of us sharing the truth to really help informing these people's young people's mindset, we all need to do better with that to avoid this kind of mentality. All right. I believe that we answered this question last week, but this variation is different. So I'm still going to answer it. How do you communicate desires and needs to their partner? Or how do one communicate, desires and needs to their partner without directly asking while expecting them to be sensitive to your subtle hints or signals? I wonder what the subtle hints and signals are. And this is why you should understand that how you choose this partner is important, okay? And I should get to know each other. I don't think that I can get to know you if you don't talk to me. You have to be able to be vulnerable to talk to me. And then people can ask questions. Guys, listen, this is a lady asking this question, you know. Guys, ask when you're in a relationship. Ask, so what are the things you like? Do you know about love languages? And then what is your temperament? Do you know about temperament? Are you melancholy? Are you sanguine? Are you choleric? Are you a phlegmatic? You know, if the person doesn't know, these are things that are important for people to know. Someone, there's a particular temperament that I've now become afraid of when it comes to relationship. That temperament is too dangerous for a relationship. Another time you can ask me, you know. Love languages are easy. Temperaments are attached to character. Okay, so you got to know those temperaments, blends and combination. They are very strong influences in the lives of people. I've done several teachings over the years on temperament at different times. I think I even have some of those on my YouTube channel that I think some of them have even been put on private, but I will check. But I've done these teachings over the years because it's part of who you are going to live with. So if you don't have the basic understanding of the makeup of this person, it will be difficult for you to understand why they behave the way they do. You know, so, guys, ask questions. Ask questions. What are the things that easily provoke you? What are the things that make you happy? What are your hobbies? How do you like spending, time? Like in this way, you will be able to get to know someone, right? And then they can go out of their way, to express some of those gestures. So, Regina, you have to talk. There's sometimes men don't get those signals and those hints. You can initiate the conversation. Who initiates a conversation in a relationship doesn't matter. It's like when we're talking about sex last week, I said, how do you have sex without being emotional? You can ask questions like, oh, so what kind of a person are you? Discuss the future, what's your future plan, like all that kind of stuff. Communicate. But when you are married, love languages are now, that's when it matters the most. I'm not saying that love languages don't matter in a relationship, but in marriage, it becomes a requirement because you have to do it for maintenance as well. Now, the best way to give a hint or signal is to speak your language. For instance, if you are a Doma now, how do you communicate? Your language is Idoma. So you speak Abole, Abole. Then the person will now say, oh, Obobino, right? If you're Hausa, to Yakeke, the person will say, I say Budia, Padamwa. If you are Yoruba, share wadada o, share lafia ni o, the person will say, modupe o. If you are Igbo, to say, dalu, the person will say, Odima, Imela, and all that kind of stuff, right? So speak your love language. So if you like receiving gifts, give gifts. I think the guys should clap for me now. You guys should clap for me on this one. So if you are a lady, you like to receive gifts, then speak your language by giving gifts. That's the fastest way to establish what you like. When you speak your language, if you speak your love language, if your love language is words of affirmation, speak words of affirmation to your partner. If it's quality time, create. So that's the best way. And so, guys and girls alike, take note of the language that this person is speaking, because the language they speak to you is what they want to hear back. If you go to France and you're saying hi, hello, Americans especially, it's like, hi, excuse me, you are looking for directions. French people will never stop. They will stop if you say hi, hello, excuse me, they will never stop. If you want to get their attention, you must start with bonjour. Bonjour. Then they'll say bonjour. And then you can speak English. Excuse me, I'd like to know, where can I find this and that? And then they will help, even if you are not French. So I was in Paris one time, and this guy on Champs-Élysées, the street where all their designers are. And so this guy ran into us and he said, oh, hi. I said, hi. He said, oh, finally, someone who speaks English. And I was like, you having a problem? He said, no, these guys are not friendly. I keep saying hi, nobody's answering me. And I said, oh no, this is Paris. So you have to start by their own courtesy. You have to say bonjour. They feel Americans are arrogant, so you must get their attention by first saying bonjour. When you say bonjour, then you will have their attention, and then you can ask them and they would oblige you with the answers that you seek. And he said, oh my, I didn't know that. Yeah. So in life, speak your language. If you speak your language, someone would learn it and then they will respond, and then communicate. Talk about it. Don't think that there are things I just have to give a hint. If you give hints and clues, no, you are in a relationship, not a marriage. You should talk about things, communicate about things. Don't make it a command or a demand or like a commandment. No, just you are talking about each other. Then see how sensitive they are to want to go out of their way to please you. The answer to this question is no. Absolutely not. This man is out of order. The man is out of order. You cannot be in a strong, committed relationship. You cannot be in a strong, committed relationship and flirt with another woman, even to the point of exchanging videos, and pictures. That's out of order. And if he can disrespect her, at this time, then he will do more in the marriage. So you want to know what that man's weakness, are, what his weaknesses are. That's why I always say that don't marry anyone without knowing their weakness. Is it a weakness that you can tolerate? Because oftentimes, when we're in that stage of excitement, we just say, oh, I like this about him. I like that about him. I like this about him. I like that about. What are the things you don't like? In fact, your decision should not be complete without the things you don't like. Then anyone you end up being with is going to exhibit some things you don't like. So choose based on the one that has the weaknesses you can accommodate, that you can tolerate, that you can manage in the course of your life. There are some weaknesses that some people will not be able to tolerate. So don't just make up your mind for a guy based off of only what you like about him. No, also know the things you don't like so that you would know whether you can survive. Will you survive in the relationship? Can I manage this thing that I know about him that's his weakness? Can I survive it for the rest of my life? If it is a weakness that you know you cannot survive, then run for your life. Yes. So these are some of the mistakes that some of us made during our own time. You just based your decision based on what you liked about the person, and you didn't wait to find out what you didn't like. Because some of those things that you may find out that you don't like are going to be deal breakers. So it's good to know it before you make up your mind. And in this case, if this lady is not okay, if this is a deal breaker for her, then she has to abandon this project. If not, if the guy can do this while he's not even married to her yet, then he's going to do more. So they need to have a serious conversation about it. And if he says, "What is my life?" If he's repentant about it, if he say, "Oh, I didn't mean any harm," that's okay. But if he becomes defensive about it and feels like he has the right to still flirt with anyone, regardless of the fact that he's getting married to her, he's going to do that as a husband. So if it's a deal breaking situation for her, then she needs to think very well before she ties the knot. Okay, and it's vice versa, even for a guy and a girl. So if a girl is in a strong relationship that is leading to marriage and she's still flirting with another guy, it's also out of order. It's not acceptable. And chances are that person can repeat that behavior even in the marriage. So have a strong conversation and see if it's ignorance or if it's, if it's like a brazen thing to say, "What's the big deal?" Then you will know, okay, this is something I may have to deal with in the future. Am I okay? Is this something that I'm okay with, before you can at least proceed with your full chest and clear eyes? All right? Blessings. Annie, thank you for the question. This is usually a very complicated or controversial question, jealousy, because some people don't even know when they're referring to jealousy. What they think is jealousy is not even jealousy. So there's jealousy, there's envy, and there's possessiveness in a relationship. So you have to be able to understand when a feeling that is expressed is healthy, or if it's a danger sign for the future. So you didn't explain any context here of this jealousy. It will have been good for you to elaborate a little bit on the context, because context is always everything, rather than just giving it a plain or broad a broad uh, um, perspective. When you just say jealousy, in what context are we talking about? Because sometimes what the example may be, when you elaborate, may be possessiveness. It may be insecurity. So, or if is it a healthy, just protecting my turf, my territory. So, but in any case, I will just give a general answer on this. So try to know what you are defining as jealousy. Is it real jealousy? And what is it jealous of? Is it jealous of you talking to other people of the opposite sex? Is it is the person complaining of lack of quality time, or is the person being possessive, like want to control your life, literally, your every waking moment, who you talk to, where you go. I've seen situations where, some people will call their spouses, "Where are you?" And they say, "Oh, I'm in the market." Say, "Ah, you're in the market. Why am I not hearing noise?" "Okay, who are you there in the market with?" "Okay, do FaceTime. Let me see you." Or give the phone. You say you are with your friend. Oh yeah, let me say hello to your friend. And so that cannot be comfortable. That cannot be love. That is a serious uh, insecurity and lack of trust. So there are things that you have to know that are healthy and some things that are not healthy. In relationship, we feel like, okay, a little jealousy is healthy. If someone doesn't even show that they can fight for you, and that means you just don't mean anything to them, right? So in a relationship, it's important for your partner to defend you, to work hard for your attention, or to want to impress you. It's important how you feel about them. They want your validation and stuff like that. Not that your validation will be the only validation they have, but it helps. Like I said, marry your fan, not your critic. So if I'm playing a game and you are my fan, I need you to cheer me up, right? So you want that kind of relationship where Your partner is cheering you up, your partner is encouraging you, and your partner is clapping for you when you win, not the other way around. So likewise, jealousy, a little bit of protectiveness is okay, but not the one that the person wants to possess your life and micromanage it from A to Z and not even give you the liberty. There are some ladies that once they're in a relationship, you don't see them again. They break off all their friendships. They don't uh, gist with their friends anymore. They don't hang out with their friends anymore because the man just takes total control of their lives. That's not healthy. That reeks of insecurity. And also, if it's a lack of trust, don't call it jealousy. Also, because it's a lack of trust. If it's a lack of trust, it's like, who are you with? What happened? What did you say? What did you do? Did he touch you? Did he say this? Let me see your phone. Let me read your text. What? Oh my goodness. No. So there should be some. That's why I said that love must have proof in terms of desire and in terms of respect. There should be a certain level of respect, that I respect you enough to believe what you say to me, except if you give me a reason to prove you otherwise. So I can't understand the scope of this question that you have asked in terms of jealousy in just in broad term. So I've tried to, give a clue to what it is. But if you create a context, then I can also know or be able to define that context. Okay? I hope this helps.